Predicted Manchester United lineup versus Brighton, Fernandes and Rashford start. Manchester United face off against Brighton in the FA Cup semi-final at the Wembley Stadium today. The Red Devils suffered a huge disappointment in midweek as they were eliminated by Sevilla from the Europa League. Erik ten Hag will want a strong response from his players today. They will have to play at their best to beat the Seagulls. David De Gea had a difficult outing against Sevilla in midweek. He was at fault for all 3 goals conceded. Despite this, Ten Hag was supportive of him after the game, and the Spaniard is expected to continue between the sticks. In defense, there will be an enforced change from midweek with Harry Maguire suspended for the FA Cup semi-final. With Rafael Varane and Lisandro Martinez sidelined, Luke Shaw is likely to be the makeshift centre-back alongside Victor Lindelof. Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Diogo Dalot look set to continue in the right and left-back positions, respectively. CASEMIRO and Christian Eriksen are expected to start as the midfield pairing for the 3rd straight game. Bruno Fernandes is back available after his European suspension, and his creativity will be a big boost from the number 10 role. Jadon Sancho lacked the cutting edge from the left wing in midweek and should be replaced by Marcus Rashford from the starting 11. Antony will most likely retain his spot on the right flank, but we may see Wout Weghorst lead the line with Anthony Martial possibly injured. Martial could not continue in the second half on Thursday after a painful knock to his knee. The Frenchman seems doubtful to feature against the Seagulls. Manchester United's starting 11 is expected to be like this today. So what is your opinion on this? Did you like the first 11? Erik ten Hag speaks on CASEMIRO, Eriksen and Fernandes playing together in midfield versus Brighton. Manchester United manager Erik ten Hag has confirmed that CASEMIRO, Christian Eriksen and Bruno Fernandes will play together in midfield against Brighton and Hove Albion in the FA Cup semi-final. The trio are United's best combination in the centre of the park, but they have barely played together during the second half of the campaign. Eriksen picked up an ankle injury in January, and he has only recently returned to first-team action. The Dane has started the last 2 games for United. Meanwhile, CASEMIRO has got himself suspended multiple times. He has been unlucky with his red cards, but this has proved costly for the club. Ten Hag will have the opportunity to play CASEMIRO, Eriksen and Fernandes together against Brighton. He has now admitted that he is looking forward to it. Ten Hag will want a strong response from his players today, but it won't be an easy challenge against one of the most exciting attacking teams in the country. In our opinion, the Red Devils can ill afford a slow start against the Seagulls. United have to score first at the Wembley Stadium to pile the pressure on their opponents. Pep Guardiola sends out a brutal message to Manchester United fans as Man City edge closer to a historical treble. Pep Guardiola has sent out a message to Manchester United fans after Manchester City defeated Sheffield United 3-0 to book their place in the FA Cup final. After witnessing his side reach the FA Cup final on Saturday afternoon, Guardiola was told that some United fans fear City will win the treble this season. The 52-year-old replied, "They don't have to be scared, we are neighbors, the neighbors are always nice to each other." Manchester United completed the historic treble in 1999 by winning the Premier League, FA Cup and Champions League. Premier League confirmed fresh date for Manchester United vs Chelsea. The Premier League have confirmed a fresh date for Manchester United's home clash against Chelsea. The Red Devils were initially scheduled to host the Blues at Old Trafford this weekend, but the game was postponed after the club's progress to the FA Cup semi-final versus Brighton and Hove Albion. The match will now be played on May 25 at 8 p.m. British Summer Time. This will be United's penultimate game of the top-flight campaign. The club will finish their league season against Fulham at home 3 days later. Similar to the initial fixture, fans in the UK will be able to watch the game on Sky Sports. Manchester United defender Eric Bailly looking for new club. The Ivorian, who is currently on loan at Marseille, is one of the players likely to get chopped by Erik ten Hag in the summer. It's clear that the manager will need to sell players to make funds for transfers, and there is absolutely no point keeping squad members that are surplus to requirements like Bailly. The 29-year-old never blossomed after a brilliant debut campaign that ended with injury. He has only made 4 starts in League One this season due to injuries and suspensions. That's why Marseille don't want to keep Bailey, and that should probably add to the reasons why we need to flop him. And, speaking on his Here We Go podcast, Fabrizio Romano has claimed the £91,000 per week defender is a player who is not wanted at Old Trafford ahead of next season. It's a no-brainer as far as we're concerned. He has not been reliable enough for United, and it doesn't sound like he improved at Marseille this term. Manchester United have already been handed big boost for Brighton clash. Manchester United have already been handed a big boost for the FA Cup semi-final against Brighton and Hove Albion on Sunday afternoon. Ahead of the game, United have already received a big boost with Bruno Fernandes available for selection after his European ban in midweek. The Portuguese was a big miss for the Red Devils in Seville. The club lacked the creativity in the final third without his presence on the field. Marcel Sabitzer started in the number 10 position on Thursday night. He completed just 58% of his passes in the disappointing 3-0 loss. He is expected to be dropped for Fernandes today. The 28-year-old will be determined to impress after missing out on the Andalusian trip. Fernandes has been a revelation for United since the restart after the World Cup break. He has scored 7 goals and provided 10 assists. Aside from his goal contributions, he has also created several more big chances in the final third. Fernandes is expected to lead the side against the Seagulls at Wembley. Maguire will take no part in the semi-final due to his 1-game suspension. Full extent of Raphael Varane injury, a devastating blow for Man United. Manchester United have been dealt yet another devastating blow on the injury front, with Raphael Varane's status worse than first thought. The French defender was brought off after suffering an ankle injury against Sevilla in the Europa League midweek. After the match, Erik ten Hag revealed that the Varane had been complaining of the issue for several weeks before the trip to Spain. It had been hoped that Varane could make a return this season, but, according to the Mirror, scans suggest that Varane would be out for up to 6 weeks. That would rule him out of all 8 of Man United's remaining Premier League games. If United beat Brighton and Hove Albion in the semi-finals, there is hope that Varane will be ready for the final. Ten Hag is likely to field Luke Shaw in defense alongside Victor Lindelof against Brighton, with Harry Maguire suspended for the encounter. The captain will be available in the Premier League, while Casemiro deputized in defense a handful of times in his career.